Okay, today we're going to talk about completing a square. Okay, let's do a warm-up here. X plus 3 squared. Can you square that binomial? So x plus 3, x plus 3. So if we FOIL it, we get x squared plus 3x. Insides make 3x, and the L of the FOIL makes 9. In other words, it's x squared plus 6x plus 9. Okay, let's try this one. X minus 5 squared. X minus 5, x minus 5. First times first. X squareds, outsides, negative 5x. Insides, negative 5x. Last, make positive 25. X squared minus 10x plus 25. Okay, can you see a pattern? Do you notice a relationship between this number and this number? Right, it's doubled. And this number and this number, this number and this number, it's squared. Okay, so if I go x plus 7 squared, you know that this is 14x doubled, and this is 49. Okay, what if I give you something like this? Can you write that as a perfect square? So now you got to think backwards. You're trying to find a number that doubles for that and squares for that. So then it would be a negative 10. So going backwards, it's half and the square root. Okay, one more like that. So then that would be x minus 6 squared, half, and square root. Okay, now if I give you this, could you fill this in? So what would have to go on this blank? Okay, well, we know our number here would have to be half of this. So this would have to be a positive 9. So then this would have to be an 81. Okay, let's try one more. So take half of this and then square it. So negative 8 squared, you should get a 64, and x minus 8 squared. Okay, so this is the process of completing the square. So what are we going to use it for? Okay, we're going to use it to go from general form to standard. Okay, so general. We want it to look like this. Okay, so first step is to get rid of C. Okay, so y minus 9 equals 8x squared minus 8x. Okay, then the second step is to get your blank. So now remember how we got a blank? So take half and square it. So minus 4 squared is 16. Okay, step 3 is balance that out. So if I add 16, my teeter-totter went upset, so I add 16. And the last step is to write standard form. So this is y plus 7. And then we have this trinomial becomes a perfect square. And the number needs to be half and square root. And we're done. So now we know the vertex is 4, -7. Okay, let's try another one like that. Y equals x squared plus 2x plus 5. So we get rid of c. Okay, step 1, get rid of c. Now we make a blank. Take half, which is 1. Square 1 is 1. Now we balance, so we add 1. Now we write standard form. So y minus 4 equals a binomial squared, and that should be x plus 1, because it is half of that, or square root of that. Vertex is -1, +4. Okay, now if you want on a test, you can check your answer, because in general form, I know x of my vertex is -b over 2a. So that is -2 over 2 times 1. So that's a -1. If I plug in my -1, -1 squared plus 2 times -1 plus 5, 1 minus 2 plus 5, and that equals 4. So do you notice that this vertex matches that vertex? -1, 4. Okay, so that's a good way to check your answer. Okay, now I'm going to add on to step 2. All right, so gotta find some questions I want to do. We're going to add an a value in here. So y equals 2x squared minus 16x plus 30. Okay, so step 1, get rid of c, minus 30. Step 2 is now different. Okay, we need to factor a out. Okay, so we got y minus 30 equals 2 bracket. Now, if you take a 2 out, you get x squared. If you take a 2 out of this, you get -8. Then here's the trinomial that I want to work with. Okay, do you see how I still have, if I FOIL this out or distribute it, 2x squared minus 16x? Didn't change anything, I just factored it out. Okay, so half of this squared is plus 16. Okay, now I need to, sorry, step 3 was to get your blank. Step 4 is to balance. Okay, so now I have to be careful that I have to remember this trinomial is multiplied by 2. So I really have to also add 32 to that side. Do you see it? 2x squared minus 16x existed. 32 didn't exist. So y plus 2 equals a slope of 2 times, what is that trinomial as a binomial squared? X minus 4. So my vertex is 4, -2, and my slope is 2. I'll do one more like that. Okay, y equals, I'm going to go -3x squared plus 12x minus 8. Okay, so get rid of this n piece. Y plus 8 equals negative 3x squared plus 12x. Step 1. Step 2, get this negative 3 out. So taking this out gives me x squared, and dividing by negative 3 gives me negative 4x. Now this is the trinomial I want. Okay, your trinomial always has to have an x squared at the start. So divide by 2 and square it is a 4. Now balance it out. Because you created this, you really made a value of negative 12 occur. So negative 12. Finalize it. Y minus 4 equals negative 3. And then binomial squared. So this binomial would become x minus 2 squared. Alright, why don't I just do one more really quickly, or you got the hang of it? Okay, I'm going to leave it. Remember that step 2, you have to do factor out before blank. This is so important. Okay, that's where I see the most mistakes. They try to put a 36 here. Okay, that's going to end up wrong. You got to make sure, because think about your bed mass. You're doing this foiled and then timesing it, right? So you need to do it in a certain order.